Hello, beautiful people. Hope you're all fine and the sun is shining in your world on this day of the sun. I'm acting a little bit shady in this place right now for all intents and purposes, partly due to the power of the sun at this moment and the nature of the moon being in its waxing near full within the next 48 hours, and how that changes the geomagnetic movement and protection that the Earth has, where the weakening of the geomagnetic layers of our Earth are one thing, but as it repels those solar currents and swings them around the back of the Earth, it's where the moon is. And the moon turns around and allows them to change their trajectory back in towards the Earth again. So I recommend, especially around the full moons, in the early days of, or the later days of waxing and the early days of waning, that we become a little bit more conscious of the resonance that occurs, solar activity. I've had quite a bit lately, so coming into the 25th cycle, well, actually in the 25th cycle, but we're coming into the extreme nature of it. So, yeah, if you can be shady, be it. Not what I'm here to talk about, though. Fine days are one thing, but the nature of our fine lives is another. I'd like to, I guess, address the principle of people wanting lives to be a little bit easier than what they have been. And I get that. What is it that we learn from an easy life? And I'm not sure there's a lot. Which is interesting in relation to the empowerment that we choose to want to express and to share and to offer as service or as to our journey, which I feel like is an opportunity for us to recognize there's a value in the challenges in our lives. For that reason, do we end up seeing the challenges as different to what we have in the past? Do we welcome them? Do we recognize that the pain and suffering is actual value? And perhaps if we have avoided the pain and suffering to a degree, in denial, in retail therapy, in the avoidance of our soul's purpose, does that mean that we're going to be treated differently at times when Saturn has play in the cosmos, comes around for its return? How much of it are we willing to sacrifice at those times? Because we haven't been willing to sacrifice it in the meantime. Challenging topics, I know, life itself. And yet, so many are, I guess, offering their wisdoms, their experiences as opportunities to assist others in the process, which I think is one element that I sort of came here to talk about. And there's a lot of younger people these days that are claiming to have all the answers, which I find could only be achieved by, the weekend courses that have been done, and maybe they got certificates for them, which becomes a subject that could just be hearsay, plagiarism, for instance. You know, in the decades gone by, I've recognized the people willing to share information from perspectives where they have studied something but not lived it. And I question the authenticity in that. And I'm not judging, but I'm discerning as to perhaps the value they can be in the delivery of the knowledge that they have. And I think it does come down to a level of authenticity which is valuable in relation to how we receive the kind of information that is being shared. And I've been privileged enough to recognize that there is a difference between that kind of information that is lived compared to just regurgitated. And it happens in a lot of my world of off-grid design, permacultural principles, sustainable influence and interests. People can have gone and done a PDC and then they want to tell everyone about it because they feel proud about what they're studying, and they should. But should they be teaching until they've actually had some trial and error and diversity in what they've learned, as opposed to just hearing somebody else say it and now they're going to go teach it? After 35 years as a permaculturalist, I recognize how naive that might be and how much they're not actually helping people in relation to it within a narrow perspective. And then in topics such as life, because life's no small topic, raises questions as to how there's a young individual talking about life when all they're doing is talking about it, not actually experiencing it. It's a bit like the psychotherapist that's just come out of uni and going to tell you everything that they've learnt in uni that you have to respond to when they have no experience in the trauma and the suffering or the pain or the relationships or the... So ultimately it does raise some questions to how our journey continues from someone else's perspective. So I believe there's an opportunity for us to recognize that the more that we're going to be able to help people, the more we have to have gone through ourselves, the more we have to have experienced in trial and error, in understanding, in learning from mistakes, in recognizing the opportunity, in being patient, allowing a life to have unfolded before we start speaking about it. And while I have been highly opinionated in past incarnations in this life surrounding the subjects that are ones that I have studied my entire life, the speaking about life itself is another story which I've saved until now, ripe old age of 50, where at least 3 or 4 lives have been lived in that time, with a consistency and yet diversity in which they have been sought, experienced, and now delivered. So I believe there's an opportunity for us to find a patience in our journey as to how we are experiencing it, and then exposing it to other people's value, for the opportunity to help people. We have to have been able to help ourselves first. And I'm not sure that the people that haven't actually exposed themselves to a life they need help from are the ones that we should be taking any advice from. So for the crones and the wizards and the aged out there, salute you for surviving to date. And I recognize you have more to offer than you probably speak. And for the youth that are voicing an opinion to become what they choose, I take my hat off to you. I offer you a level of patience and insight, introspective. I offer you an opportunity to study what you teach within your own experience. I offer you the opportunity to go out into the world and fuck up hard and explore that. Make all the mistakes. Pick all the partners that are wrong for you. Choose all the difficult things in life as the hard way is the way. And for those that are interested in just being collectivists, couch surfers, and the Barbies and Kens raised by baby boomers, I think we're all non-player characters if that's the case. So just carry on and allow your journey to unfold. And one day, maybe one day, there'll be time for you too. The Day of the Sun. This is Jay Sun, being very simple because life requires simplicity for the common sense to come through. Until next time, much love.